Welcome everybody to a fantastic class we're going to be doing today with our fantastic Magimix products. We're going to be doing some batch cooking. So as we all know, any of you that actually go to the grocery store, groceries are crazy priced at the moment. And it's really a time to really knuckle down and really watch what we're spending, watch what we're cooking, and getting some really great recipes together that we can cook more than sort of one meal at a time. So I'm really looking forward to doing this class with you. I've got some really great recipes to share with you as well. Now, all of these recipes will be on the app. So if you haven't yet downloaded the Magimix app, please make sure that you do so. All of these recipes are going to be on there for you. They are recording today as well, so there will be the opportunity to watch this again if you need to. But it's, yeah, we've got it all there, all on the app, all the recipes ready to go. So today, what am I going to be cooking? I don't think we've told you this, so I will let you know in on the biggest secret. The first one I've done, and I've actually already made it because I wanted to do a spaghetti bolognese or a bolognese sauce. We'll go through why I think bolognese sauce is a really great one for batch cooking in just a moment. I'm also going to do a mushroom risotto, and it's my favorite risotto. Again, we're going to turn it into more than one meal. I'm going to be doing a beef stroganoff. And while all those, and we're going to be doing soup, because soup is a fantastic thing at this time of year. While those things are cooking up, I am also going to be moving on and doing some pesto, some basics of getting ready for the week with grating of your cheese. We're going to do some cauliflower rice. I am planning to have this all done in about 45 minutes. Wish me luck. So we're going to get started. We're going to get happening. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if it's your first time watching one of our shows as well. So if you haven't seen us before, we do some cook-alongs, which we'll be doing. I think there's one next Thursday. So we've got cook-alongs that we like to do here as well. So if you haven't joined us before, welcome. If you have joined us before, welcome back. Really excited to have you here again. And we'll get started. So the very first one that I have done is the bolognese. Now, I have to give you a tip and a secret. I've actually done the bolognese in the XL bowl. So I know some of you have purchased the XL bowl. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, when we receive our bowl, we get a 3.5 litre bowl with a 2.5 litre capacity with our machine. You can purchase the bowl, the XL bowl, which is a 4.8 litre capacity with a 3.8 litre food capacity. So when I'm doing something like a bolognese, if I do it in the normal bowl, I can do about 500 to 600 grams of mince, plus all my veggies and tomatoes and everything that I add. When I did the bolognese sauce in this one, I've been able to do a full kilo of mince, as well as 2 carrots, 2 zucchinis, a big handful of mushrooms, a large can of tomatoes. So there's lots and lots of things in there as well. The reason that I love doing it in the XL bowl is because I've made about 4 meals in here. Okay, so I would then use my bolognese for lots of things. So I'll take that lid off. Now, because I don't have camera crew today, you're going to have to bear with me. I'll spoon it out and you can see. I wish that you could all smell what was going on in here. Now, when I do bolognese, and the reason that I also started it early is because I like it to cook for about 3 hours. So this is one for me. If when I used to do it in a saucepan, I used to do it for a good 2 to 3 hours. I'm doing it exactly the same here because I love the way that it sort of caramelizes and it gets cooking through and all those beautiful flavors. So for me, this is one that I would do on a Sunday afternoon, let it just go. But the great thing is you can get it all in there, walk away, come back in 2 to 3 hours, and it's all done for you. So let me just grab a bowl. I'll be doing a little bit of running back and forth today, but that's okay. So let me get this out for you because I absolutely love. Now, let me tell you, and I would love to hear from you all as well. So look at the thickness of this bolognese sauce. So it's not runny. It's absolutely beautiful. I would love to know what you would do with a bolognese sauce, but I, of course, will give you some of my ideas of what I would do. So hopefully you can see that. Doesn't that just look amazing? That mince hasn't turned to soup. It's been cooking for 3 hours. It hasn't gone to mush. It is absolutely still formed with those pieces of mince. Absolutely delicious, smells divine. But I would do with that. So there's a few things. Some in my house like the pasta. Not everyone does. So you could do zoodles. You could turn that into a lasagna. Crazy story, actually. My children love lasagna, but aren't that fussed on spaghetti bolognese. Go figure. I don't understand that. Anyway, you could use this to do pies if you wanted to do pies, but there are endless things you can do with the bolognese. I'd love to hear what else you would do. Shepherd's pie. There's just so many things. So if you could divide this huge bowl of sauce into 4 meals, you might do 2 mince meals one week and 2 the next week. That's 2 weeks of food, 4 meals that you've actually got covered for the household. You know what? I love cooking, but I also love my nights off cooking. So it's a really great one to have in the fridge, in the freezer, ready to go, ready to turn into whatever it is that you'd love to do. So I'm going to move on from the bolognese. Please give me your ideas of what else you would do with it, because we all are here to share. We'd all love to know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to get started first of all on my risotto. The reason I want to start on the risotto is because I do a really yummy mushroom risotto. I just need to check that that's on where I want it to be. Beautiful. So what I'm going to actually do with my risotto is I do a mushroom risotto, but I like my mushrooms to be quite sort of, you know, quite a nice size still. So I slice them all up, and I've actually sliced up a whole lot of mushrooms here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just add a little bit of oil into the bottom, just some olive oil. I'm going to add some parsley and some garlic, and I'm going to add 500 grams of mushrooms. Now this is mixed mushrooms. Honestly, if you can, mix it up. So I've got brown, Swiss, oyster, and then your normal white mushrooms, and I'm going to pop that in. Now this is just in the normal size bowl. I've just gone back to the normal size bowl. I just wanted to give you an example of why that XL bowl is so fantastic when we're doing something like a spaghetti bolognese. But I've got all those mushrooms in there. Now, if I was to try to do this with the risotto, it's going to be an awful lot of food in there. So the reason I like to do it separate is because, as you probably all know, these mushrooms are going to go to you know, get a lot smaller than they currently are. So we're going to get all that in. Oh, thank goodness for a dishwasher at the end of all this, let me tell you. Okay, so we're going to pop the lid on that. Just need to grab myself a lid. Okay, so we're going to pop the lid on that, and I'm going to start by using the stir fry mode. Now, I'll get that started. If you don't have stir fry mode on your machine, it means that your machine needs to be updated. Okay, easiest way, best way to do that, go onto our website, get a USB, I think it's no more than 4 gigs, or is that how I say it? Download it onto the USB, turn the machine over, plug it into the machine, watch YouTube. It gives the best instructions. If you ever get stuck though, customer service girls are amazing. They can help you out there as well with the instructions, but it's super simple. You'll be absolutely fine. So we're going to stir fry those mushrooms for 7 minutes. Okay, so we're going to let those go. And what I thought I'd do is a soup. Now, this is the season as well that we love soup. It's cold. We want to be able to eat things like that. I had an example the other day when I was home. The weather turned awful. It was really cold. I didn't want to go anywhere, but I wanted something warm for lunch. So I just looked in the fridge and pulled out everything that I had, threw it into the bowl, and made soup. Super easy. Super easy? Yeah, okay. I'm not actually very good at jokes. Anyway, so this is, if you just saw what I threw in there, I've got an onion cut in half. I've got my about 1 kilo of pumpkin all chopped up. I've got some of my beautiful homemade veggie stock, which if you've seen me do my shows before, you know how much I love homemade veggie stock. Again, all done in here. All of the things like your celery, the tops of the celery, your zucchinis, your tomatoes, things that you need to get rid of are fantastic in a veggie stock. But I've got all of that in there, and then I'm going to add my water. Now, I don't always necessarily measure everything that's going in there, to be perfectly honest. But the other day, I didn't have a lot of pumpkin, so I did pumpkin, potato and carrot, and I just put enough water in there to cover about 3/4 of the veggies that are in there. So don't be too worried about measuring. You'll get really good at this as it goes on. If you want a nice thick soup, then that's where that sort of 3/4 rule sort of measures up. Am I happy with that? Or maybe a tiny bit more. But pretty much that is my rule of measure when I do things like a soup, because I want it to be creamy. I don't want it to be super runny. I want it to be yummy and a little bit thick. And that's all that's in there. Okay, pumpkin, the onion, the water, and the veggie stock. So that was a super simple one. But like I said, the other day I added some potato and some carrot because it's what I had. If you've got leeks that need to be used, cauliflower, all those things make an absolutely beautiful soup. So let me get that started. Now, for you, those of you who have done soups with us before, you will know that we do a beautiful creamed soup in 30 minutes. So we're going to get that creamed soup on, and in 30 minutes we're going to have that beautiful soup, and we'll go back and have a look at it. So we'll get that started. Just gives it a little bit of a shake up to get it started, and then we let that go. Now, of course, when you're watching me do this today, I'm going to be going through and I'm doing 4 hot meals. Now, I understand that you're not going to be able to do 4 hot meals as quickly as I'm going to. I'm very spoiled. I have 3 machines sitting on the bench here. However, what I would do is still, if I was going to have a cooking day, you could still have all of this done in about 3 hours. Okay, so if you started with your first recipe, got that on. So for example, I've got my stir fry on with the mushrooms for my mushroom risotto. While that's cooking, I'm getting ready for the rest of my risotto. Okay, so when that's done, it takes about 20 to 25 minutes. I can empty the bowl, move on to the next one, go with the soup, because I've prepped the soup while I was doing the risotto. Then I can go to the stroganoff because I've prepped everything for stroganoff while I've done the soup. So you really can sort of, make it work for you so that you can really have a cooking day. So it's a really great way to get organised. This today should be enough to feed you for at least 2 to 3 weeks. I will give you the breakdown of the costings and things that I've worked out as well. So it's really efficient way of actually eating well. And it's also really great way of eating to a budget and actually sticking to a budget. So let's move on to the next one, because I'll keep talking forever otherwise. And we're going to get started on the stroganoff. Now, this stroganoff is to die for. I've done it before on a cook along, so you may have already seen this one. But again, it's a really good one, and we'll go through all the different things we can do with it. Okay. I'm trying to remember what all my bowls are, because there's so much going on in this kitchen, as you can imagine. Okay, so we're going to start with our onion, and of course we love that we can chop in our Magi Cook Expert as well. So we're going to get that chopping. And I love just watching that, turning up the speed and getting that all chopped up. Beautiful, absolutely perfect. Now, with the stroganoff, instead of frying that off with some oil, I actually just throw in about 30 grams of butter. I just find that butter gives it that extra sort of, creamier result when I'm doing this. So we'll just scrape down the sides of that, and we'll just cook our stroganoff for 2 or 3 minutes to get that started. Oh, so let's go with that. Oh, the organisation, I tell you, it's actually easy when you prep everything to be super organised, which I love. So let's just add some temperature to that. Backwards is the quick way to 110. And of course, we don't want it on 16. We'll just drop that down to 3. So I know that you're not cooking along with me today. However, I really am, the aim of today is to get you thinking about how you can actually cook in the kitchen, and how you can actually save yourself some money, save yourself time, all of those things as well. So while that's cooking along, I'm just going to go back to the soup for a minute. One of the things I love about pumpkin soup is you can really jazz it up if you wanted to. So my household, there's a couple of boring people, children, and they just like the plain old pumpkin soup, that's it. I like that spice, so you can add some coconut cream to it, you can add some red curry paste, you can add green curry paste, whatever is your favourite curry is really, really amazing in the pumpkin soup, and I generally will add that near the end anyway. Okay, so don't be too worried about whether you have to sort of do it now, but you can add it at the end once you've removed the quantity that you need for the not so fun people in the house that just want to eat plain pumpkin soup or veggie soup. But it's a really great way. Again, I get bored really easily, so I hate eating the same thing every single day. So you've got these amazing people that can food prep their lunch for work every day at the start of the week, and that's what they'll eat every day. I just get bored. So it's easy to give yourself variety by adding different flavours and things in there as well. Okay, now, my mushrooms are fabulously cooked, and I'm going to show you these. Let me just get that out. Okay. So this bowl, I don't know how well you could have seen it, but when I made these mushrooms and I put them into the bowl, this bowl was absolutely to the top. So you can see from that the mushrooms do reduce quite a lot. Okay, Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put those mushrooms aside. So bear with me a moment. It's a bit of a squeeze in here today. 4 machines on the bench. I've only ever done 3, but 4 is possible, we've worked out. Okay, now I'm going to get all of that mushroom out. I'm going to show you how beautiful it looks in a minute too. And what I also love is that there is not anything stuck to the bottom of my bowl. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the risotto in the same bowl, and I'm not going to bother washing it up. We don't need to do that. Who wants to wash up extras? But look how clean, like the bottom of that bowl, there's nothing going on there. So we'll pop that bowl back on. I'll show you these absolutely amazing looking mushrooms. You could just eat them like that, couldn't you? Garlic, parsley, absolutely amazing. So I'll slide those up there for now, and we'll add those in a little bit later. And let's get going on our risotto. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to chop our onion and our garlic. So we'll pop that in there. Now, so I've got 2 cloves of garlic in the mushrooms, and then I've got another clove with the onions. If you don't want that much garlic, just take it out. It's up to you. You might just want a clove in each. Okay, I'm going to come around and chop those onions. We'll take that off stir fry, and then we can go back to our expert, get that started, and we'll just chop away. Oh, not with temperature. What am I doing? With speed. Temperature's not going to do anything for us. Okay, and we'll stop that. So that is ready for the next stage. Oh, love how beautifully it chops onion. It is just absolutely amazing how well it does that. So we're going to put all that down. We're going to add, you can tell that I do these ones quite a lot because I don't even need to look at my recipe. So these are some of my favourites that happen in this house quite a lot. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to that as well. If you don't want to use olive oil, you can use veggie oil, canola oil, whatever is your oil of choice, of course. I might just scrape the top of that because we don't want to miss all of those beautiful, I don't know what that was, a bit of onion skin. We don't want to miss all those beautiful flavours from the lid as well that are all stuck there. So let's just now get that frying off just for 3 minutes. I need like a little puppet underneath me that pops up and presses all the buttons for me. Wouldn't that be good? Okay, so we'll pop that up to 110. And there we go. Start. Okay, but you can see in the process of this, we've got the next thing going as well. So I really had to work this out today. So we've got those beautiful onions fried up. I'll probably end up putting the wrong thing in the wrong bowl, but you know, we'll be right. We'll get through it. Okay, so in there now, this is for our stroganoff. So for our stroganoff now, I want to add the rest of my ingredients. So I'm going to add, now I'm doing about 800 grams of beef, and that is rump steak. Now let me give you some tips on rump steak. I went to a larger known shop to buy rump steak, and it was about $25 a kilo, okay? And I thought, wow, like that's expensive. It is expensive. And then I sort of looked around and thought, oh, maybe I'll find some that's, you know, got to be used in the next day or two, which quite often happens, and that's a really good way. If you ever see rump steak on sale, got to be used, great time to jump onto it, because that is when you can whip up these beautiful things that you can be popping into the fridge and the freezer. So that's my corn flour and my cayenne pepper. It is also my paprika. Now, paprika, I use sweet. I don't use smoky. I don't like it as much in stroganoff. So I think my recipe just says paprika. Paprika. I do like the sweet one over anything else. This here is my tomato paste, my sour cream, and my Dijon mustard. So I'll get that going in there as well. So it actually still does quite a lot when you look at that with 800 grams of beef. So I'm just going to pour in, that is my wine and my water. So I've got that in there together. Now I am just going to double check that I've got everything in there. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Everything's in there. Okay, let's go. So I'm going to go now with this one here for about 20 minutes. Now what I find with the rump steak, because I've done them some really nice slices, and I find about 20-25 minutes. So we're going to go with 20 to start. And we're going to go down to speed, I'm pretty sure I go down to 1A for memory. Yeah, okay. So we'll let that stir up. 1A, I love 1A because it really is that sort of stir, stop, you know, cook for a little bit, stir, stop, etc. So it's a really great one to be able to be going there. Now our, what are we doing here? Which is this one? The risotto. So risotto, we're about to put in our rice and our wine. So I'll grab that. Now, with risotto, it's a really great one with risotto because you can do so many different flavours. And again, if you've got things in the fridge that need to be used, so quite often I do one with roasted pumpkin. That's one of my favourites, bacon and roasted pumpkin. Add chicken if you want to add chicken, but you don't have to. Let me just get this one out and we'll add our next ingredient so we can keep moving as I'm talking. Could you imagine what my neighbours are thinking with the smells coming out of here today? Okay, so with risotto, like I said, lots of different flavours, but you've got to make sure that you get that liquid into your rice before you keep cooking. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just added my wine and my rice into the bowl, and I'm just going to let that then stir for about 3 minutes. Okay, so let's get that going. Oh, I'm making an awful mess here, aren't I? Okay. It's not fun unless it's messy. Okay, so let's get up to speed 3 minutes. We'll go speed 3, 110 degrees. Let's get that going. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so you really want that liquid to start soaking into the rice so that your rice starts to get sort of that translucent colouring to it. Okay, moving on. So risotto, we're talking about lots of different flavours. So, you know, again, let us know what your favourite risotto recipes are and what it is that you do, you know, that's kind of your star risotto. The thing I love most about risotto, especially the roast pumpkin and bacon or the mushroom, is that I actually do arancini balls with leftovers as well. So this is a really great one. I find that risotto doesn't freeze that well to then eat it as a meal. That's just my personal opinion. However, risotto does freeze well for about 4 weeks. I wouldn't push it any more than 4 weeks to then use as arancini balls. So what I do is I just put the leftovers into a container. If I've got quite a lot of leftovers, I'll do a couple of containers. I pop it into the freezer. When I'm kneading them, I get them out, I let it defrost, roll them into balls, push a little hole in the middle and put some goat's cheese or some feta in the middle. Oh my gosh. Seal them back up. And the best thing to crumb your arancini balls with is panko crumbs. Don't use breadcrumbs. It's nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near the same. Panko crumbs, absolutely amazing. Pop them into your air fryer. If you want to pop them into an air fryer, you can pop them into your oven. I never fry them in oil. I just don't like frying in oil. So oven or air fryer is a really great way. And you get such an amazing result. They're a really great standby if you have sudden visitors. If you just don't feel like cooking dinner that night, you can have some beautiful arancini balls and a nice salad. You can even eat them in summer as well. So if you love risotto and you find it's not really a summer thing, arancini balls absolutely are. And it's a great thing to take whenever I go away with my girlfriends. We always take, you know, nibbles for nighttime. You get sick of cheese. If you're on here today, girls, tell everybody how the arancini balls win every single time. And they're an amazing thing to nibble on as well when you just want that little something but not a full meal. So that must be really close to done. I'm going to grab my my water and my homemade veg stock. So that's what it looks like if you didn't get to see that before. I make this all the time. I store it in the fridge. I get through it really quickly. As you can imagine, I've got it in every dish today. But if you don't get through it that quickly, you can actually pop it into the freezer. Because it's got a high salt content, it won't freeze, but it will actually last a lot longer in the freezer. So if you're not going to get through it in 3 months, pop some of it in or half of it into the freezer so that you've got another batch. And then as you need it, you just scrape some out from the freezer and it's nice and easy to use. Okay, so we've got a stroganoff going. We've got our pumpkin soup boiling away there. It looks amazing. We've got our risotto just about done, ready for me. And I just remembered, there's always something. I have to get my basil that I left in the fridge. Give me 1 sec. Surprise. Sorry, there's always one thing, isn't there? Okay, so I've got that beautifully now going along nicely, so I'm happy with that. And you can see, well, you can't, well, actually, I'll try to show you, but you can kind of see that it's getting that sort of starting to cook through. It's getting a little more translucent than it was before we started the process, and that's the result that we want. So, in my beautiful Magimix jug, I'm going to pop in my water. Whenever I make risotto, I think, oh my gosh, that's too much water, but it's good. I've got it. I've worked the measurements out. I'm happy with how it works. Okay, we're going to put in the stock. Now, if you wanted to do a chicken risotto, now is the time to add your chicken. I roast, like I said, I roast the pumpkin because I think it just gives it, I stir it in at the end. You can stir feta through it as well, so there's lots of different things you can do. Hopefully you're all sharing your amazing risotto recipes with us because we love it and we love that you share. Okay, so I'm going to pop the lid on that one and I'm going to get going and I'm going to add that. Okay, so we're going to go for about 20 minutes. Sometimes it needs the extra 5. Quite often if it sits there for a little bit, I'm going to drop that down to 2A. Temperature, I'll leave it at that. I think it's 2A. Oh, it's... no, 1A. 20 to 25 minutes, 110, drop it down to 1A. It's usually the thing I have to check, what speed. And quite often I change things as I do them. So the bolognese, I'll give you a tip on the bolognese. I found that stir frying the onion at about 140 was a really great way to get that real caramelization of onion, because I think that's what makes a really good bolognese sauce in a fry pan, is that you get that onion nice and brown. So that's how I started my bolognese, stir fry, but I dropped it to 140. And it just, I think, makes such a difference when you're actually doing that. So beautiful. So let me just get a little bit organised and tidied up here, making a bit of a mess, but we're doing well. And we'll move on. So let me just check, I just want to check how long we've got here on everything. So we've got about 13 minutes on both. So we did that really well, didn't we? Okay, and we're going to get started on the next thing. So we talk about with the food processor. So the food processor sometimes, we don't do a lot with the food processor, and it's really, we really should, because it does absolutely amazing things. And when we talk about batch cooking, what comes to mind for me is not just batch cooking, but also prep. So I think it's really important. We're all busy, we're working, we've got children, we're running between sport, we're running between, you might not have kids, but it's still crazy. You wonder how people ever fit kids in. But it's really important, I find, and also when we're looking at, you know, saving money and being organised, it's really important to be organised for the week as well. So I am one of those, self-confessed, I've stopped doing it because in the last few months I've noticed that groceries are ridiculous and I can't do it anymore. I would be one of those that would go to the grocery store almost every day. Now, obviously for my job, I do go to the grocery store quite often. However, for my personal, you know, everything, it was just getting too much. It was getting a little bit crazy. So I started to really think, what things can I do at the start of the week that really keep us organised, that keep us on track for what we've got on. Meal planning is absolutely tick, has to be done. So, you know, sit down, involve the family. If you've got kids, get the kids to each choose a meal for the week is a really good one as well, because then you'll know they'll eat it. And then it makes it easier for you. My least favourite question in this house is, what's for dinner? Drives me insane. Like, please tell me that I'm not the only one. And the other thing is, from their bedrooms, the text message, is dinner ready? Kill me now, honestly. So, please tell me I'm not the only one that gets that, because I'm just like, what have I done to these children for them to think it's okay to text me from their bedrooms? So, anyway, food processor. It is the same food processor 5200 as what you get with your Cook Expert. So this is not anything different. It's just that I'm using the actual base of the food processor. Okay, the 5200. So those that have a food processor know that it comes with 3 bowls, mini, midi, and the large. Quite often people think, oh, the poor midi, what is it you really used for? What do we need it for? I use it all the time. Do you know why I use it? Because then I don't have to wash the next bowl up if I want to chop something else. I've got this done. I can pull it out, put it aside, and I've still got the large bowl at the bottom. Now, when we're using our mini bowl, we take our midi bowl out. Okay. not required. So what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to do some pesto. Now, I love pesto. I love fresh pesto. Go and buy it from the supermarket and taste test between fresh homemade and what you've just bought at the shops. You'll never buy it from the shops again. Now, when I've food costed it out, it worked out to be a little bit more expensive to make it today than buying it in a jar. However, when I made it this way, you got more out of it. Okay, so when you weigh it up, it might be fairly even in the end if you weigh it up that way, but fresh is always going to be best. Now, what would I use pesto for? And please give us your ideas as well. Pizza, great base for a pizza. Okay, so you've got pesto, you can have pizza night using pesto. Pasta, I have done one before, which I actually made last night, which was the steamed chicken with the roasted baby tomatoes, with the pesto, a bit of cream through pasta. Oh my gosh, one of my favorites. Really easy to do because you can whip up your own pesto and have it in the fridge. It'll last in the fridge for a good couple of weeks. Okay, so you've got it there and you've got lots of options of what to do with it as well. So let's get going. So now I've got my basil racing to the garage. And I washed it all last night, so that's why it's wrapped up at the moment. Oh, running out of space. Let me just move this on. Okay, so pesto. The great thing with pesto is you don't just have to use basil. Okay, so basil can be quite expensive sometimes. It can be just, you know, I think this time the basil cost me about $5 or $6 a bunch. I actually am having trouble finding it sometimes. But you can do you can do pesto with anything. So if you wanted to do it with some coriander, if you wanted to do it with some parsley, if you wanted to do it with cashews and macadamias instead of doing it with pine nuts, then you can absolutely do that as well. I'm just getting as much of these leaves in as I possibly can. Yeah, so there's so many options when it comes to pesto. And again, share with us what you've done when you're making pesto and what sort of different things you do. That makes it different. So I'm going to add in there as well. I've got some pine nuts, I've got some parmesan, and I've got a little bit of garlic in there as well. Oh, I'm really filling this up, aren't we? Okay. So we'll get that all in there as well. So pine nuts, parmesan, basil, garlic, and now of course we're going to add our oil. So I'm going to get that on. I'm going to get this started. So I want to use 100 mils of oil, and I can actually measure that on the side, which we love as well. So I'll pour that in. This is also fabulous for making your mayo. Best way to make mayonnaise. Okay, so the thing with this is just, it's the stop, start, pulse. It's all auto. Okay, so are we ready? We'll get this going. Now, I'm just going to get my trusty spatula and give that a tiny, actually really don't need to, but just a tiny little scrape at the side there. Oh gosh, the smell is absolutely amazing. Okay, we'll just give it a tiny little bit more. Done. So have you told me what else you're doing with your pesto? Because I would absolutely love to know. Have a look at that. Smells absolutely heavenly. I feel like I'm going to have pesto pasta again tonight, but maybe it'll be pesto pizza instead. So a really great base for a chicken pesto pizza. Yum. Okay, so that's that. They're us using that mini bowl. Mini bowl. Getting all my minis, middies and mains mixed up. Okay, so then we come to our midi. So we've got our pesto ready, whether we're using it for salads, for food prep during the week, whether we're using it for our pizzas, whether we're doing pastas, whatever it is that we're doing, we've got a beautiful pesto. And like I said, look at the quantity that has produced in that bowl compared to what you would buy in a bottle. Okay, so it really is an absolute winner when it comes to that. So like I said, it can be a little bit more expensive or feel that way, but the quantity is a lot larger, so it works out pretty close to the same. I'm making a mess here. What am I doing? Okay, So next we're going to use our midi. So I've got the midi bowl in, and I'm going to grate my cheese. Now I do my grated cheese, my grated carrot. The great thing with these is because we use the Saboteur steel blades, it means that that is going to be an accurate cut. It's also going to mean that our fruit or our veggies aren't going to bruise, so you can do your carrots and things and they're not going to get, you know, start to get that sort of dark look to them a little bit later. We can choose our 4mm or our 2mm grating blade, so we'll just go with our 4mm. Just looking at the time, 4:36, I think we're doing really well. Okay, so we're going to pop the lid on there and we're just going to food prep it. So let's go. And this is what I love. If you have to get out your hand grater, like honestly, who would? And that is a whole block of cheese. Done that quickly. So then when we look at our midi bowl, we take that out. Have a look at how everything is contained in that bowl. So we've got that beautiful cheese all ready to go. And there is nothing that is, just put that aside. There is nothing that's then gone into our main bowl. Okay, our main bowl's clean. It's ready to go for the next thing. So if you were lucky enough to own more than one machine in your house, then congratulations. But these sorts of things that we're doing now, once all of this is cooked, are really, really simple things to be able to do. So, you know, if you wanted to have a cooking day, you could have a cooking half day and have all of these 4 meals done. You could have all your prep work done, everything. So it's really an easy thing to do. Main bowl, main blade. Now, one of the things I also love to do is cauliflower rice. For those that aren't big on the carbs and don't want to have the rice, cauliflower rice is amazing. Now, the thing I love about cauliflower rice is that I can make fried rice with it, or I can do other things with it that I might use for lunches during the week or dinners in the evening. So I'll pop all of that in. But it's super quick to be able to make this. So imagine wanting to make cauliflower rice and having just a knife. Hello? I don't think I'd bother. Like, that would just be a mind-numbingly annoying exercise. So I'm just going to pop this on. I'm just going to just get that little bit of cheese out there. See, maybe cheese should have been done last. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're all good to go. Now, I'm going to use the pulse button for this one because I want to actually totally control how chopped this is going to be. Are we ready? I find the pulse button throws it around a bit too, so it really gets to everything. It's done. That's it. That's totally it. Every single piece of cauliflower in there. Let's see if I can get something to pick that up to show you. Well, you can probably see it through the side anyway, but look at that. How that cauliflower rice has been beautifully chopped. It's got all those perfect pieces. We're absolutely on fire today. Again, what do you do with your cauliflower rice? I know that people use cauliflower as the base of their pizza instead of flour. I haven't personally done that, but I've seen so many people do it and it just looks amazing. So maybe that's what I'll try out with this one. But let us know what else it is that you do for your prep and you sort of, you know, getting everything ready as well. So let's have a look at how long we've got, because I've still got a few things that I want to touch on. Oh, we must be almost at the end. So our soup has just decided that it's going to take off. So it's going to do its blending. And this is what I love about Magimix and the Cook Expert, is I don't have to get a blender out. I don't have to get a hand mixer out. I don't have to do anything else. Look at it go. But look how beautifully stable that is on my bench right now. So hopefully you can still hear me, and that'll go along for another minute. Music to my ears. Who's coming over for dinner tonight? Because you've got plenty of food to choose from. Nearly done. Okay. It's done. Oh, how is this for timing? Stroganoff. It's done. Risotto. 5 minutes and we're done. And we'll add all our extra bits. Now, I'm going to start by checking my... Oh, my goodness. So like I said, this is about 20 to 25 minutes. So the best way to test this now is that I would just try a little piece of the meat. I'm not going to do that because I don't want you all to have to listen to me eating, because that's not very nice, is it? And it'll probably make you all jealous too. Oh my gosh, it smells absolutely amazing. Now I am actually going to give that a few extra minutes, because why not? You can't really overcook it. And we'll give that a few extra minutes just so we really make sure that that's beautifully done. Oh. Okay, now I can't find a soup scoop. All I can find is an ice cream soup. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't want to pour it in because I'll probably... Oh, here you go. This might work a little bit better. Okay, so we've got our beautiful pumpkin soup, and I'm going to get that out. I'm going to ladle that out for you. So like I said, if you wanted to get your soup and you wanted to spunk it up a bit, go with some red curry paste, some green curry paste. One of the... Oh, my goodness, look at that. Move that over there. I probably made a mess at the front there for you. Sorry about that. Who needs to, don't, you know, what do they say? Messy cook, she had fun. Oh my God. What I love about this soup is how beautifully thick it still is, but not too thick. So it's still got that beautiful... Oh, this is not the best ladle to be serving soup with, but anyway, you get the idea. So you could have had some bread that you whipped up in 2 minutes that you had, look at that. And it smells amazing. I absolutely love. Pumpkin soup would be one of my favourite soup. That and cauliflower would be two of my favourite soups. But you could have had some bread proving as well. So you could have that beautiful crusty bread to serve with that. Absolutely amazing. But we've done it, and it's a 30-minute meal. And that will serve about 8 people, okay, depending on how big you're actually wanting your servings. So I just want to cover a few things while we're waiting. So the first thing I sort of want to talk about is, I guess, the convenience. So the convenience of having a machine like this that does so much for you. So the fact that we can be whipping up risotto, and while that's cooking, prepping for the next meal, while your soup's cooking, prepping for the next meal, and it really is something that we can continually use. I highly recommend getting yourself an extra large bowl, not only because it's great for doing larger batches, but it also gives you a second bowl. So if you're waiting for something to cool down and you want to get going on the next one, it's a really great way to be able to do that as well. So you can do that. But it really gives us convenience in the kitchen to be able to cook this way, to have the full food processor as well while we're going. So what I did is I actually did price up everything as I went and did the groceries, to give you an idea of when you look at batch cooking and you look at sort of the money it's going to save you. The one thing I don't think I mentioned what else I do with stroganoff. So as well as, you know, stroganoff, you can serve it on mash or serve it with pasta. You can serve it whichever way you like, but it also makes really nice pie filling. Okay, so that beautiful tender steak with those beautiful mushrooms. It's a really nice beef and mushroom pie filling as well. So that's another thing that I do with stroganoff. So let me give you the breakdown. Soup. Soup is the best thing if you are on a really tight budget. So if you're having a week where you're really pushing it and you've got veggies that need to be used, this pumpkin soup cost me approximately $5 to make. Okay, so that was the onion and I took into consideration the cost of making the veggie stock. I think pumpkin was about $3.90 a kilo. I used a kilo of pumpkin, 1 onion and some water, about $5 to serve 8 people. So that is an absolutely, soup is one of the best things. Carrot soup, if you've never had carrot soup, please try it. It is really, really to die for. The risotto. So the risotto worked out to cost me about $25. Now the highest expense in that risotto was the mushrooms, okay? Because when you go and buy oyster mushrooms and some of those other mushrooms, they do get a little bit more expensive. However, you can cheapen it again by using mushrooms that sometimes at your fruit shop or at the supermarket, they have a table of, you know, still good but needs to be used kind of things. Perfect time to be able to grab these sorts of things as well. And that will do 2 meals. So it'll do a full, meal of 4 people with leftovers to do risotto, arancini balls another night. The bolognese was just under $30, but with a kilo of mince, you'll get 3 to 4 meals out of that. So we talked about that earlier, where you can do, turn it into lasagna, turn it into spaghetti bolognese, do it on zoodles, your different pastas. You can do little pies with them. So there's lots of things that you can do with your bolognese sauce. Stroganoff was probably the most expensive because I think beef, obviously is quite expensive. I ended up getting my rump steak for $18 a kilo by shopping around and going for the cheaper supermarkets, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to have to tell you, am I? Rhymes with... No, I'm not even going to do that. But you know what I'm talking about. Look around. Don't just accept. Don't, get what you get. Don't get upset. Have a look around. And the price difference of... It was $7 difference a kilo for me to go to the other shop. Okay, so sometimes that other shop is a little bit more difficult to get to and a little bit out of the way. For $7 a kilo, I think it's worth the trip, especially if you're doing large batches and you wanted to, in the XL bowl, you could do 1.5 kilos of mince in there. Then we've got things, so then again, stroganoff, you'll get a good couple of meals out of that as well. Now, if you've got big eaters in your house, it's costing you anyway. We're still working out ways of it costing you less, okay? So if you're not getting, more than 1 meal out of it because you do have that larger household, we're still saving you money. So that's the idea. Okay, now again, the best way to test if your risotto is ready is just a grain of rice. It is perfect. You just never know with risotto. Now, if you could see in here, you can see that it does look a little bit liquidy. That's exactly what I want. So we've got those beautiful mushrooms that I'm now going to add in. And you will find that the mushrooms developed a little bit of extra juice as well. Put it in there. Beautiful flavour, absolutely. We'll give that a little mix. You can turn it back on to mix it, but honestly, I just give it a quick mix and it's easy. Then I'm going to add some beautiful Parmesan, freshly grated, of course, through our Parmesan grater on our Food Pro, which I could have been doing, I guess, earlier, but yes, because I'm spoilt with machines. So we're going to mix that in. Now, I am going to serve that up because I want you to see, and I'm not going to make an arancini ball now because I'll burn myself, not happening. Pop that there and grab that bowl. Serve with a spatula because it's still going to work. Oh my gosh. But what I love, look at that cheese. Can you see that? Oh, yum. I know a little boy next door to me who will be having the best dinner tonight because it's one of his favourites. Okay. Oh, yum. Let me move that aside. Here we go. Look at that. I hope that you can all see that because it is amazing. And imagine that rolled up with some feta or goat's cheese in the middle. Yum. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to serve up. You could actually serve your stroganoff on the cauliflower rice too if you wanted. So it's another one instead of using zoodles that you can do as well. First one here to wash up gets fed. Going to be a fun afternoon, isn't it? Okay, so again, I'm going to get this beautiful... I don't know where all my scoops and spatulas are gone. I might need to invest in some of those. Okay, so we'll serve this up. Again, I would have put this on mash or I would have put it on some zoodles. I should have put it on the cauliflower there. But look at, and what I love, and this is what I really think is important to show you, is when we look at this close up, and hopefully you can see that, you've still got your beautiful pieces of meat, you've still got your beautiful pieces of mushroom. It hasn't all been, chopped up and, horrified or anything turned into mince. So look at that. I hope you can all see that. Let me just wipe that because that doesn't look very nice. And we've done it. Are we ready? Let me just grab my bolognese. So I've been talking for 50 minutes. I said 45. I think I did really well. But in 45 minutes, and I know I've got more than one machine, but if you worked out 30 minutes approximately for each dish, it's still only an hour and a half. Plus, obviously, bolognese I would do last because I love to let it cook for forever. But in this time, we've made bolognese, beef stroganoff, a pumpkin soup. We've done our beautiful risotto. We've done our pesto. We've done our cheese. We've done our cauliflower rice. I'm not even exhausted. I reckon I could keep going if only I had a washer-upper a person. But look at it. It looks amazing. It smells amazing. It's super amazing. I am so organized for at least 2 weeks worth of food, and I'm ready to go. So please, if you've got questions, ask. Now's your chance. I think I gave you the costing of everything. The one thing I didn't mention was cheese, and I have to tell the cheese story because I love the cheese story. Don't buy cheese already grated in a bag because it's disgusting. It's got anti-caking and anti-fungal agents so that that doesn't go dry and moldy and all of that. To buy a block of cheese, so this was a 250 gram block of cheese, cost me $4, okay? I don't buy the most expensive block of cheese. I'm happy with the one that is the, you know, generic or whatever. Actually, no, it was $3.50, I tell a lie. A bag of already grated cheese was $4.50 for the same amount. $1 more, but I guess that dollar is covering the antifungal and anti-caking agents maybe. So again, do everything fresh. It lasts in the fridge. If you don't get to your cheese, you can actually pop it into the freezer. So it's another way to save. So if you're not using things, have a look at other ways to save them. But I hope that you got lots out of today. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you'll try all of these meals. We'd love to know what other things you do to food prep and the meals that you make that are amazing in the freezer. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to be in the kitchen with you, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.